December 1963, Kenya was going through one of its most defining moments in history. The nation was thrown in wild celebration after it gained its independence on the night of December 12th. It was double celebration 4 days later, on 16th December 1963, when the newly formed republic was admitted to the United Nations membership. This would just be the beginning of a legacy relationship between Kenya and the United Nations that has lasted for nearly 6 decades.
The United Nations came into existence at the end of the Second World War, a war that claimed millions of lives after engulfing dozens of nations. That was on the 24th October 1945, exactly 75 years ago, a day that we are acknowledging and celebrating today. As many of you know, the United Nations was founded to encourage respect for human rights, promote world peace, and rally the international community in solving the world's problem.
In that journey, the UN has been a part and parcel of some of Kenya's most defining moments, offering critical support and solutions to the country. The UN has been there through the national election processes, and even so Kenya through the 2 referenda. In 2007-2008, the Kenya National Commission termed the violence that erupted after the disputed general elections as being at the brink of the precipice following the disputed elections. The UN in Kenya was there too and played a key role in brokering the mediation process and in the formation of the Government of National Unity. The UN has always been ready to offer support in times of drought and floods and other humanitarian needs, and even came up with the Turkana Area Development Program to consolidate efforts in support of development assistance to the county and a comprehensive coordination mechanism that would reduce duplication of efforts, encourage private sector entities already active in the county, and invite new ones to tap into the huge investment opportunities available in the county.
In the year 2016, there was a severe famine in Turkana, where many animals died. And we felt like another way is let's start this farming so that we can earn a living, so that we can get some food. What we did was, if this garden is for the host, the next garden is for the refugee. Like that, all of this water pan, it is arranged like that. And as a result, people interact, people talk together, and then people even help each other, even in the garden. Even as we teach Turkana, we Turkana also, we teach also the refugees. So the real integration comes.
Watu walikuwa wanakosa mboga. Na huwa walikuwa wakinunua mboga zinatoka Kakuma, tena very expensive. Hana pesa, watafanya exchange. Mahindi wanampa mboga. Flow unga chapati wanampa mboga. Watu sahi wako na mboga. Hawanunue tena mboga za Kakuma. Hawende market, lakini market ndio wako wanakuja kununua mboga hapo, wamepata tele linkage. Na huwa wanapata pesa kubadilisha acha chakula kingine kama samaki, kama nyama, hata peni ya mtoto, kiato, book. So difficulty fulani zile walikuwa nazo zimepungua toka mradi uliingia hapa.
UNDP alikuja hapa akatujengea slaughterhouse, akatrain sisi maneno ya usafi. Hiyo ilikuwa ni 2012. Hiyo market pia imepaniwa na USAID kwa sababu ya kuangalia hii slaughterhouse imekuwa hapa, tukwa provide pia soko na iwe mali hapa, alafu sasa ndio sasa maneno iwe rahisi. Slaughterhouse hapa, soko hapa. Tumeshiriki na pia na PAO ambao sasa amefundisha wa raia yetu, amecompare pamoja na sisi wachuruzi. Amewafundisha wa raia kusema wanyama hii usuri yao ni kuuza na kuweka pesa kwa account na kufanya biashara, ndio ukame na isimalize wanyama yenu.
The UN has also adapted new ways of delivery, for example on the flagship initiatives such as the SDG Partnership Platform, the Kenya Cross-Border Peace Initiatives with Ethiopia and Uganda.
The UNDP has been spearheading coming together of these communities to solve problems, cattle rustling, attacks, common attacks between either on the other side or this side. Solution has always been found. So there's a structure, right, which has got clearly set out avenue of consultation. Regionally, the leaders on either side of the country have been able to come together and discuss the development agenda along the border. This program has enabled the leadership to be able to be connected to other global agendas. Moyale Kenya-Ethiopia cross-border initiative was the example that was quoted in the world. And I'm happy I had an opportunity to speak to global delegates on what experience I got in this cross-border initiative.
The government and the United Nations have also partnered in one of the largest refugee programs in the world. Kenya is among developing countries hosting the highest numbers of refugees from neighboring countries in Central, East, and even the Horn of Africa that have undergone successive years of turmoil.
Tangu tuanze, hii tulianza wanafunzi pia ilikuwa challenge kwao. Walikuwa wanasema hata nyumbani hawapati chakula kama majani ya kukula ya kutumia. Vitu kama hiyo walikuwa wana challenge kusema wakitafuta kuenda kununua majani wanachukua unga chapati ndio wana change wanawapea, lakini wakati tumefanya hii tukatia duty. Tukakuwa tunafanya kila mtu na siku yake anakuja anavuna, anabai kwa soko, ananunua kama ni kalamu, kama iko na shida ya kalamu, kama iko na shida hata ya uniform if is possible, na hata nyumbani anatumia. Okay, hii project sana ilitusaidiwa na FAO. Kabisa ilitusaidia sana na tunawashukuru sana. Na pia tunawaambia wasichokee hapa, waendelee sababu bado tunahitaji tuendelee kula mboga mingi na tuendelee pata experience ya mingi sana. Pia sababu watoto pia nao hawaachi wako na bidii.
With 23 UN agencies, funds and programs, and 2 global headquarters of the United Nations Environmental Programme UNEP and UN Habitat, the UN in Kenya has been a strategic partner to the government of Kenya and neighboring countries.
Kenya has a unique position in the Horn of Africa, given its geography, given the maritime area that it covers. And when I say Kenya is a beacon of hope, I firmly believe that in Kenya, we could actually set up the architecture of the blueprint of Africa's socio-economic progress, because the next 10 years is the decade of action of the Sustainable Development Goals, which is crucial. 2030 is just around the corner. What we do here and now is going to define the narrative of what Africa is going to be.
The UN Development Assistance Framework that is developed in partnership with the government of Kenya and articulated the UN's commitment to support the people of Kenya realize the development agenda and the Sustainable Development Goals. It is anchored on the country's blueprint for development, the Vision 2030, and national priorities as outlined in the Medium-Term Plan 3, Big 4 Agenda, and the Sustainable Development Goals, and has 3 strategic priority areas that are aligned to government's development agenda. 1. Transformational governance encompassing respect for the rule of law, improved security, and effective implementation of devolution. 2. Human capital development comprised of education, training and learning, health, multisectoral HIV and AIDS response, access to safe water and sanitation, social protection, gender-based violence and violence against children, access to adequate housing, and strengthening capacities for addressing disaster and emergencies. 3. Sustainable and inclusive growth focusing on a competitive and sustainable economic growth that is increasingly resilient, green, inclusive, equitable, and creating decent jobs and quality livelihoods for all. The outcomes will support the government to accelerate the economic transformation of Kenya, contributing to an empowered, productive, and healthy nation.
The UN has been an inseparable partner in development. When we were developing the SDGs, we were honored at the UN to co-chair that committee on SDGs, and we do take our role as a country very, very seriously in the journey towards realization of the SDGs. We work very, very closely with the UN in this, and as a country, we've gone even a step further when we promulgated our constitution in 2010. When you look at Article 43 of our constitution, it actually elevates these goals to fundamental human rights and freedoms. When you look at the right to freedom from hunger, to access of healthcare, water, and food, all these are not mere goals. They are actually human rights guaranteed by our constitution. And this shows how seriously Kenya takes its role as a leader in the journey towards realization of the SDGs.
The WFP, which you know has just won the Nobel Peace Prize for advancing food security and peace, has worked assiduously in this country. It is the WFP that for many years supported Kenya's school feeding program that enabled thousands of children to go to school. They built up that program, they built up the capacity of government agencies, and have now been able to transition that program to government itself. We have UNICEF that has been instrumental in assisting us in immunize thousands of children, millions of children across this country. Without that assistance, we would not have been able to eradicate polio. We would not have been able to ensure that our children don't go to school with measles. We would not have been able to ensure that our children go to school and are able to do so safely. We also have UN Women that has empowered women in this country. It has assisted our civil society, it has assisted government, it has helped women participate in decision-making, in peace and security. It has also empowered women to take their place in our society by helping us develop our competencies, by helping us understand that the inclusion of women is a critical component of the development process. These are just a few examples. I could go on and on because so many UN agencies work here in our country. And it is that collaboration that has helped us move forward with the Sustainable Development Goals.
COVID-19 pandemic in Kenya is happening under a series of unprecedented crises. The worst locust invasion in 70 years, heavy flooding that has left several people dead and thousands displaced, and the rising cases of the disease burden. This occurring in a context of significant vulnerabilities as well as increased humanitarian needs, which have also severely impacted on all sectors of the economy, especially in health, food security, education, infrastructure, and livelihoods. The UN in Kenya immediately reprogrammed $45 million from the United Nations Development Assistance Framework and together with government launched a flash appeal seeking to mobilize $267.5 million to complement government efforts in addressing the pandemic. The UN also deployed staff and volunteers to work directly with the Ministry of Health, Council of Governors, and government agencies to support their responses and has embedded UN experts in these bodies. Agencies also supported government in distribution of personal protective equipment, social support such as cash transfer programs, behavior change communication, provision of water and hygiene supplies. The United Nations team is also working closely with local partners to respond to the impact of the crisis, particularly on vulnerable members of the community, to provide health care, security, and legal assistance to an increasing number of people affected by female genital mutilation, gender-based violence, child neglect, and child marriage. The United Nations Entity for Gender Equality and Empowerment of Women, UN Women, and the United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA, and UNICEF have been partnering with a local non-profit organization to set up a national helpline staffed 24 hours a day by trained counselors. While providing services in English, Swahili, and other local languages, the helpline has been processing more than 1,000 cases per month during the peak period of the pandemic.
I began my journey of the fight against FGM as male or as boy. I began just because of the UNFPA. Last year, I attended or I participated in one of the training that was done in Elementaita through the office of UNFPA. Together with World Vision, I was selected, and that is where I realized that our male from our region, that is from Tiati, should, in the next 10 years, should end this FGM by their own means.
The UN has also prepared a socio-economic response plan towards a systematic recovery addressing healthcare system, social protection, employment opportunities, and social cohesion. The plan to be implemented in the next 2 years at a cost of $155 million.
We want to use this pandemic as an opportunity to reset, redefine, reimagine, reinvigorate of what the future economy is going to look like, because the pandemic has clearly shown that inequality is deeply rooted, not just in Kenya, but throughout the world. And amongst the most advanced economies in the world, the COVID-19 struck like a bolt of lightning, and in that flash, we were able to see the contours of inequality.
Building a better post-pandemic future for Kenya will require environmental, social, and economic interventions that lead to greater resilience. Despite the devastating effects of the pandemic, Kenya can build back better. Among the key areas that the UN is looking out for to support government achieve include protecting small and medium-sized enterprises, including by leveraging opportunities in the digital economy and expanding access to technology, improving health systems by ensuring affordable and universal health systems, use the recovery to accelerate climate-resilient growth with a shift to economies that avoid air pollution, create green jobs and ensure clean and sustainable consumption and production, and also ensure that women are at the decision-making table and enlist the talent of the youth if we are to succeed in transforming Kenya, achieve the Sustainable Development Goals.
I believe in Kenya, the whole focus of the Vision 2030, the whole focus of the President's Big Four development agenda, the whole focus of the Sustainable Development Goals is about leaving no one behind. And therefore, a particular focus in Kenya by the UN family, with the government, with the county governors. We've been focusing on the Asal counties in particular, and with a particular focus on the frontier counties, such as Mandera, Wajir, Marsabit, Lamu, Isiolo, Migori, Samburu, Turkana, West Pokot, countries which have been traditionally very marginalized, bringing them into the economic architecture, into the economic ecosystem, so that no county, no person, no individual feels they've been left behind. And that is the premise with which the UN family is working with the government of Kenya.
Ours is work in progress, and there can never be a day we can afford to say our work is done. Finally, because the United Nations is you, and you are the United Nations, please also wish yourselves a joyous and healthy happy birthday. Thank you.